want in our life, and they're just they fill us up, and it appears to be good, but it's nasty. I'm not referencing anything, I'm just making an illustration. Okay? And so, we are filled up in this world by material things. We're filled up by our pride, filled up by our own selfishness. Everything that feeds that monster inside of us that tells us we're something special. And Jesus recognizes that if we get filled up with that, we don't have room to get filled up with everything that He wants to give us. And so these first 3 verses are so intentional. He's working the crowd to teach them, hey, I need you to empty yourself. I need you to empty yourself of everything you are right now. And recognize that it's not about you, that it never will be about you. It's all about God and everything He's done ever in your life. And your life is 100% need to be sold out for Him. You say, God, here I am, an empty vessel ready to serve you. Because then He has things, godly things that He wants to fill you with. Things of heaven, not of this world. And it's only when we're empty, though, that we can be filled with God. People will use the phrase that God's a jealous God. He's not going to share space with anything else. And maybe there's some truth to that. If you're not empty, He's going to stand there and say, I'm waiting. But it's when we empty ourselves that then the godly things in this life can fill us up. And so these first 3 verses, poor in spirit, mourning, meekness, are all about emptying yourself. And then Jesus says this verse. This is so key. When we just read stuff, just verses, blessed are the hunger, thirst for righteousness. Great. You got to look at it in a chunk. This verse changes the Beatitudes, and you'll notice the next 3 are all about things to fill our life up with. And this is the verse when Jesus changes that, and He says, now that you're empty, spiritually empty, ready, you are now ready for me to fill you up with what is best for you. So what is righteousness? What are we going to be hungering and thirsting after? I had this all wrong most of my life. I used to think righteousness was being holy. I used to think righteousness was making the right decision at the right time. I think righteousness was morality, integrity, purity. Man, that person's really righteous. Oh man, they really love God. They're so holy. I used to think righteousness meant not sinning and being like perfectly behaved as a Christian and avoiding the bad things. And that's not what righteousness is. In fact, the most simplest definition of righteousness is giving to charity. Righteousness means giving alms, giving to charity. Which makes sense when we think and talk about God's righteousness towards us. When we say God's righteousness. Well, we're not saying God's holiness, we're saying God's righteousness. He gave charity to us by giving us salvation. We didn't earn it, and we didn't deserve it, but He gave it to us. And that is His righteousness towards us. And now God is asking of us to hunger and thirst righteousness, to passionately pursue righteousness, the giving of charity to others. And when I say charity, I don't just think finances. It might involve that, but it's the attitude of giving towards others in need. And we can now go and talk about what this means for us, but first we have to understand, what does this mean for them? Before we can apply the scripture, what is Jesus saying to His initial readers, to the people that are listening, His hearers there on the mountainside? When He's saying that, what is He really saying? Well, as we've talked about, he's taking a little stab at the religious leaders. Right? If you were here last week, we talked a little bit about he's poking them a little bit. He's bothering them. He's establishing his campaign. His platform is all about love. It's about mercy. It's about restoring somebody and rebuilding them, and not necessarily just coming down hard with them. And so he's building this idea of a message of love, and he's basically pointing fingers at the religious leaders, saying it's not about being righteous. It's not about being perfect. It's hungering and thirsting. It's a heart issue, not a ritual issue. If you're still in Matthew 5, scoot down to verse 7.